Hi, I'm Pamela, and welcome to Greenstick Cottage, where I enjoy books and crafty things whenever the cats allow me to. This is my first BookTube video, so we'll see how it goes. I haven't quite learned how to do picture-in-picture yet, and since I listen to books and I read digital books, I don't have a whole lot of physical books to show you. So I do have some, but all my reads and listens are not in physical form. So I'm going to use my tablet just in case I can't figure out the picture-in-picture. So we'll see. Yeah, I figure that's better than nothing if I fail at technology. So I'm going to start with my 3 most recent reads and tell a little about them. I read Fast Like a Girl by Dr. Mindy Peltz. It's probably backwards, I don't know. But anyway, it is a woman's guide to using the healing power of fasting to burn fat, boost energy, and balance hormones. I've watched her YouTube channel since February, Dr. Mindy, and so I wanted to read this book, and I had to put a hold on it at the library to be able to read it. I did get the digital version first, and I read that, and then I got the physical version, but unfortunately I had to return that on Friday. So I've read it twice. I've took extensive notes the second time through. She talks about, what I really appreciated about it is how much she goes into the science about fasting and different lengths of fasts and what they do for our bodies. And I found that very informative and very encouraging, that there are things we can try when we've tried other things that maybe didn't work or whatever. And also really interesting is how women have to fast differently than men to get good results. And so one of the things in the book is what she calls the 30-day reset. I'm on my second 30 days of that, and I'm incorporating some longer fasts. Well, the original 30-day reset, I chose the advanced one because I've been incorporating fasting since February. So, and these are fasts from 13 hours all the way up to 72 hours, which I haven't done that yet, but I have that one planned for October. This month in June, I did a 24-hour fast and a 36-hour fast, and all the rest of them were intermittent fasts of 13 to 17 hours, depending on what day of the month it was. And even though I am postmenopausal, it still applies to women without a cycle. So it's very interesting, and her YouTube channel has a lot of information as well. So I really like that book. And by the way, my star ratings are super simple. 5 stars is loved it, 4 stars liked it, 3 stars it was okay, 2 stars didn't like it, 1 star hated it or DNF'd it. So I would have to give this I would have to give Fast Like a Girl at least 4 stars, because I really liked getting all the new information, and her presentation was very coherent and easy to follow. So very good book. I like that one a lot. Let's see, what was the next one that I finished? This is kind of cumbersome. Oh, yes. Oh, man. What a ride. False Memory by Dean Koontz. Oh, my goodness. Oh, I have the physical book of that. I can actually show that. Yes. This is a long book, and let's see, it is something. So I guess this one qualifies for Big Book Summer. 579 pages. It's pretty thick, and at first I didn't know what to think of it, and I've read a few Dean Koontz books. I read like 2 or 3 in the 1990s, and I really liked them. I can't even remember which ones they were. And then I recently read Lightning. I loved that one. I liked that one a lot. Gosh, it seems like there might have been one more, in more recent times. But this one, it kind of threw me off in the beginning because it wasn't like Lightning. And I thought, is this just all going to be about, phobics, like agoraphobic? And anyway, there is a character that's an agoraphobic, and her friend is one of the main characters. It starts with her. Her name is Marty, and she's getting ready to go help her friend Susan get to the psychiatrist because her friend Susan has developed agoraphobia. And so it's always, every week, it's a big challenge to get Susan out of her home and into the car and to the doctor's office. And so it's, little events here and there leading up to that, and then the whole ordeal of getting her to the psychiatrist. And in the meantime, Marty's husband, Dusty, is... he's a house painter, and he has employees, and they're on a job, and it's starting to rain, which is not so great for house painting. And an event happens that is pretty a crisis, and that's kind of how it starts off. And I was just like, well, I don't know, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. But I stuck with it because it was Dean Koontz, and it was quite a ride. But I finished it last night, and it's like, whew, But I ended up really, I thought, he's just such a good writer, and his descriptions of things can be real haunting or very lyrical, and those keep me coming back. And so even though there was some gruesome parts, some difficult parts, some adult parts that can be hard to get through sometimes, in the end it was worth it. And the story was great. The overall story was great, and I don't know. For me, like Gone with the Wind is 5 stars, so I'm not sure I could give this, but definitely 4 stars. A very good, strong 4 stars for this book. And I'm going to be looking. I got some Dean Koontz books at the little free library in town. And I think I got 3 of them. So, and one of them I think I might have read in the 90s, but I probably won't remember enough of it. So I'll probably be dipping into those pretty soon. All right, now the third one of my last 3 is just, I love it. It's, let's see, I do not have a physical copy, so I've got to show this, but it is Hanks and a Hitman, and that is book 3 of the Nitty Kitties series by Tracy Drew. And one more thing I wanted to say about False Memory. There is a dog in the book, and Marty and Dusty have a dog named Valet, a golden retriever, and that was one of the best parts of the book, and I could see why he put a golden retriever in the book. All right, back to Hanks and a Hitman. So this series, the Nitty Kitty series, it's a cozy mystery series, and it takes place in New Zealand. And the main character, Tessa, she is a former high school counselor who ends up coming to help her grandfather run the local yarn shop called Unraveled. And it is, and then this is after her Nana Dee Dee dies. So she comes to help, and so she kind of inherits this local yarn shop. And she, thanks to her Nana Dee Dee, she knows how to knit and crochet, and I do the same. So, you know, any cozy mystery that has any kind of sewing, yarn, you know, any kind of handcrafting, quilting, whatever, I'm gonna try to read it. So that's why I picked this one up. Plus, this one has cats. Nana Dee Dee's cats, Kit and Pearl. Tessa inherits the cats too, and she and her grandfather Harry live in the apartment above the yarn shop, and so she ends up, you know, discovering in the first book, you know, discovering a dead body, and then she and the cats take it from there, and she. There's all kinds of stuff, and I love the whole New Zealand setting and the expressions. You know, I love, you know, faraway places and kind of getting into that culture and all that. And let's see, what else is there about? Oh, it's hilarious. It's just, the books are very, very amusing. All the cat antics. Any cat owner can completely relate to a lot of the things that Kit and Pearl do, and so I was I listened to the first book as an audiobook, and hopefully it's still free on Audible. I don't know, but I haven't checked lately. But that's how I got it and listened to it. And the narrator with the accent, you know, she has the New Zealand accent, and she does a fantastic job on that book. But then I had to switch to Kindle to read the next two books, and I am going to continue this series, you know, definitely. I don't know exactly when, because I don't have the next book in the series. I might have to sign up for, what is it, where you pay monthly for Kindle Unlimited, Kindle Unlimited. I might end up having to break down and subscribe to that, so that I don't even know if those are on Kindle Unlimited. I guess I better check before I do that. But yeah, that is definitely for cozy mysteries, that's really way up there in the top for me. So again, definitely 4 stars. So I had some great reads. I really enjoyed them. And they're really kind of between. I do love them, so maybe I should give them 5 stars. I don't know. I'm always iffy about that, because it's like, well, what if really an amazing book comes along and you know, I've got nowhere to go after 5 stars. You know? So I'm kind of conservative when I do my ratings. All right, now I'm going to do what I'm currently reading. And I probably won't do this every time I talk about books, because this is ongoing. But since this is the first BookTube video, I'm going to introduce, you know, something I do every day. Let's see if I can get it to show up. Come on now. I don't know why. I guess I should have. Oh, there we go. Currently reading. Yay. I start off in the morning with listens. And my listens are all on my black Fire tablet. I call this the Black Fire. This is my first Fire tablet. I found out right away that it can't handle anything but the Audible app. and because the Audible app would stop working if I tried to do anything else on this tablet. So Audible resides on here and nothing else. So I listen to all my audiobooks, my Audible books on here. So the first one I start off with in the morning, but I have Goodreads on my red Fire tablet, so that's why you're seeing this, is Psalms and Proverbs for Commuters. And this has 31 days of Psalms and Proverbs, and so it takes you through both books, Psalms and Proverbs, every month. So I do this on a monthly basis, rotating. I've been doing that since I joined Audible in 2012. So that's something I do every month. And if I miss a day, I just listen to 2 days worth the next day. So I won't repeat this, but that's my first listen in the morning. My second listen is I go through the Bible in chronological order. I am currently using the reading plan called As It Happened on YouVersion app. So and I'm currently using this Bible, audio Bible, which is the Hebrew Bible, and it has really good commentary by the translator and his explaining linguistics and how he decided to translate certain things and some of the faults in other translations, and so it's very, very good. I'm really enjoying it, and I like to listen to scriptures rather than read them, because the Bible says faith comes by hearing. So I think the auditory pathway is important for that. I do read the Bible too, but this is what I try to do consistently every morning. So that's the Hebrew Bible, and I think I got this free on Audible, that version of the Bible. And I think it only has the Tanakh, otherwise known as Torah, Nevi'im, and Ketuvim. And so that is is it an anagram? What is it called? An anagram? I don't know, but TNK, which is pronounced Tanakh, also known as the the Old Testament. So I'll when I get far enough into the chronological reading plan, I'll switch over to a New Testament Bible. Alrighty, so after then, the next listen of the day currently is Mockingjay. I listened to the Hunger Games trilogy. Oh gosh, I think it was, anyway, at least 3 or 4 years ago, and then I listened to Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, I think it's called, which is the prequel. And so after listening to the prequel, I decided to go ahead and continue with Hunger Games, and now I'm on Mockingjay, and I think I only have 1 day of listening left on this. I still liked it a lot, although Katniss gets tiresome, especially by the third book. But with YA, that just kind of comes with the territory, the self-absorption and, impulsiveness and things like that. But anyway, I'll be glad to finish that. I'm not sure if I'm going to, I think when I finish that, I think what I'll insert in that slot of the day is a podcast called Murder Book by Michael Connelly. I've listened to the first 2 episodes, and so it's in the middle of a story of a true crime. It's a true crime podcast, and so I'm curious to find out how this case turns out. So So that's probably what I'll fill in that slot with. Alrighty, and then let's see. I just recently started the next book. You don't have them in order here. Oh, by the way, this is what season 1 of Murder Book looks like. And Michael Connelly is the host. And you'll find out how much I love Michael Connelly in a minute here. When I talk about. So the next thing I listen to is Michael Connelly. And I just started this book, Angel's Flight. And, oh gosh, I can't remember. Oh, thank you. It's Harry Bosch number 6. But I'm doing the whole, I decided after reading the first Harry Bosch, or listening to the first Harry Bosch book, I decided to just go through Michael Connelly's books in publication order, regardless of whether it's a Bosch book or a spin-off or whatever. And so, so this is where I'm at, and I've just started it, and so I don't know much about it other than Angel's Flight is the railroad that goes up a hill, and I was probably on that as a child, so I do remember things like that, but it might have been in Switzerland. I can't remember, but those kind of railroads are there too, and so. There's a murder and Harry gets called to the scene. But I love Harry Bosch, and I'm going to keep reading Michael Connelly unless he lets me down. But I think he's a really good writer of mystery and police procedural and all that. And so I'm really enjoying the series, and I will continue in the next one. I looked and checked, and the next one is the next one in publication order is not a Harry Bosch book, but it's called Void Moon. So that'll be the next thing I do in this. I'll try to get it in audio form. I had to get Angel's Flight on Libby because I didn't have a credit to get it on Audible, so I had to wait, and that's why I started Murder Book, the podcast. Next is my choice to read. I started this yesterday for the Janelle-a-thon. I hope I don't start crying now, but this is a read-along from June 26th to July 3rd. It's in memory of Janelle, who's of Too Fond of Books, and she was a wonderful booktuber. Her exuberance and joyful demeanor was just wonderful, and she's I learned so much from her about the mystery genre and other books, and I just really enjoyed hearing from her on BookTube, and I've been around the BookTube streets for a few years, but this is my first BookTube video, so I'm kind of familiar with things, but probably not everything. I kind of had to take a break because I couldn't keep up with all the. I'm a joiner, and so I would join too many read-alongs that couldn't keep up, and so now I'm trying to focus on finishing books more, and so I've tried to ramp down my jumping into read-alongs and readathons. But I could not pass this up for Janelle, and so I decided, in honor of Janelle, I remember her talking about the Chief Inspector Gamache series, and what stuck in my mind the most when she talked about those books by Louise Penny was that she would use the phrase that Gamache was a good man. And that just really stuck with me, and I thought I should try that series. I wish I had tried it before she died so I could talk with her about it, but thank goodness I'm doing it now. And so I started Still Life, which is the first book that introduces Chief Inspector Gamache. And I am listening to it. I got it on Libby. Amazingly, it was available to borrow. And I think I listened to about an hour, and I kind of got lost. And there were so many characters being introduced and situations, and I'm going to restart it today and pay closer attention. I like to craft when I'm listening to books, and so maybe what I was working on was a little too demanding to pay close enough attention to the book. So I'm going to give it another try at starting from the beginning. All right, so let's go on. And the next thing is not a book I'm reading. It's actually a book I'm writing. One of my daughters gave me this book called Mom, Tell Me Your Story, Your Life Story. And so I put this into my daily schedule. It's kind of a demanding thing. It basically has prompts, like journal prompts. And sometimes they're very emotional, the questions, or they're like kind of hard to remember. And so sometimes I'll like read it, and then I'll read the question, and then I'll have to think about it for a few days before I can answer, because either I have to process it, especially if it was a traumatic memory or something. And so I haven't gotten very far. The last thing I did was put my schools. Listed all my schools from kindergarten through college. And so the next prompt is, what were your favorite classes? And it's got 5 lines for that. So I'll be thinking about that until the next time I pull it out. So that's a fun thing I do. And then I get started on what I call in shorthand when I write in my commonplace book, which this is my current commonplace book. Just a composition book where I put all my notes and things. And so I call this one, my shorthand for this book is Soy Bed. Switch on your brain every day. And I got this book. I actually found it at a thrift store, and I was so excited because I had previously read her book. This is Dr. Caroline Leaf. Her book, Switch on Your Brain. And this book is one of the books that started me on my journey of losing 286 pounds so far since 2020. So the past 3 years. I read this, and this book really impressed upon me that for the first time, learning about neuroplasticity, and that we can change our brains, and we can change the way our brains work, that our mind is in control of our brains, and we can change things. And that really gave me a lot to think about, and put me on the road to learning more about this. And I'll be talking about this on a live stream on July 8th. It'll be 10 o'clock my time, which is Arizona time. We don't change. We stay on Arizona time all the time. But that's currently Pacific Daylight Time, and it's noon Connie's time, and Connie's channel is Just Another Stitch. I'll put this on my community page, the announcement of it, but she invited me to guest on her live stream to talk about this brain work that I did before I ever changed any habits, changed any of my diet or anything like that. And I think changing my brain or rewiring my brain is what enabled me to do the other things that it took to lose 286 pounds. So this is, I really recommend this book. In fact, I might reread it soon because I want to get those things fresh in my brain, and I wasn't keeping a commonplace book when I read Switch on Your Brain. But then I came across Switch on Your Brain Every Day, which is, it's one of these daily books, 365 days worth. And she combines Bible verses with the science of, brain health and, getting our thoughts in order, taking our thoughts into captivity so that we don't have toxic, negative things going on in our brains. And so I started this January 1st of 2022, but I'm only on day 30. I think I'm on 307 because I do Bible study with this book. I look up the Hebrew and Greek words, and it's a little bit more involved. And so I'm usually doing this around the middle of the day. And so I'm really enjoying that. And I, by the way, I switch off on the mom. I call this the mom book. I call it the mom book. And this, and I, like, on different days I do different things, and I will sketch one day, I'll do logic puzzles one day, I'll do jigsaw puzzles, and I'll do these books. So I have like 4 or 5 things that I rotate in this time slot during the day. So I don't do all of them every day. I'll just usually do one of them. So that's also why I'm behind on the 365 days of this. All right, so that takes care of Switch on Your Brain. And after I finish Switch on Your Brain, I have 2 more books I'm thinking about starting that are daily, 365 daily readings. And one of them is The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday. And I enjoy his channel. He has some really, he explains Stoicism very well. And there's 366 in here. So I bought this book because I really, I like his YouTube channel. And another one I got is Daily Reflections for Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. I read his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, a long time ago. So I thought, and again, this is, every day of the year, little things, living the 7 habits of highly effective people every day. So, I'm not sure which one I'll do first, but I like these little daily snippets. I like that because it just kind of puts me on a track to thinking about the things, just little tidbits that I can think about or write about in my journal. I journal as well. The commonplace books is where I put notes and things, but journaling is more my thoughts and processes. All right, so we got through that. And then after those things, I do in the evening, then I have to do a lot of chores, of course. I don't get out of those by reading. But I have recently adopted sunset reading time, I call it. And I set an alarm on my phone for 15 minutes before sunset. I check the weather app in the morning, and that also includes sunrise and sunset times. And so I set my alarm for 15 minutes before sunset, and my house faces west, so it faces the sunset. And we have beautiful sunsets here in Arizona. And I live in the desert, in the high desert, and there's a lot of animals, birds, just beautiful things around. And I go out on the deck, and I take my devices out there, And because when it gets to be twilight or even full dark, I can still keep reading until I'm ready to go in. So I am keeping a book active on each of my devices. So on my Red Fire, I currently have, and I'm currently reading, and I try to keep it to one book per device because I just can't keep track of too many books. So I am currently reading this book, Cupid's Poisoned Arrow. And this, I'm probably not going to say a whole lot about this book. You can read the bottom part there where it is a different way of bonding in, pair bonding, called Karezza. I think you say Karezza, or it's Karezza. It's been very interesting, and again, the science behind becoming habituated to your spouse, and I think it's called the Coolidge effect or something. In the beginning of the book, it talks about that. So this is a nonfiction, and the author Marnia Robinson, she explains a lot, and then she includes, after each chapter, a section called Wisdom of the Ages, which shows how this has been a thing for, since ancient times. So I'm going to leave it at that. If you want to investigate further, it's an adult book for sure. On my, then I have, this is what I call my old Kindle. This is a 2010 Kindle in the leather case that includes, so it has the keyboard. Let me turn it on. And it also has a built-in book light. So it's great. And so I still have a lot of books on here, and it still works. And so I'm currently reading in this one. I can't pull up it's a huge, long book, and since that Kindle doesn't work very easily in finding the book cover and the chapters and things like that, I'm going to go back to my Red Fire and show the picture that Goodreads gives for this book. And it is called the Encyclopedia of Lost and Rejected Scriptures. It is super long. I don't even remember how many pages it was. And I'm only about 65% at that mark, but it has everything you can imagine. I don't even know how to pronounce this. Pseudepigrapha and apocrypha. So anything and everything that I would say it's more, biblical related. It's not like, other religions. The Hebrew and Greek scriptures is mainly what it is. But it's got the Book of Yashar, the Book of Enoch, two different types of books of Enoch, and I'm currently in the Life of Saint Issa, which is allegedly a book that was a manuscript that was found in a Tibetan monastery in the 1800s by a Russian man, but some other Europeans attacked him and said it was just fake. And the great thing is Joseph Lumpkin, the author of this, or the editor, the one who brought it all together, he includes all the controversies around, and tells and kind of sets the stage for it. The book in here, this is a book of books essentially, and the work before the Saint Issa one, and Issa is the name for Jesus in whatever language, And so what I read before that was letters written by Pilate. And so I don't know for sure about the authenticity, but it was great reading. It was great reading. He's writing to Seneca, and he tells about all the activities taking place in Jerusalem at that time. And so it was good. It's good. It's still good. I'm still reading it. And then since I finished Hanks and a Hitman, I went on to, I'm kind of trying to do a books version of Dave Ramsey's Debt Snowball. And I'm going into my devices and finding books, unfinished books that are the ones that are farthest along. I'm trying to finish them. Like I said, my focus is on finishing books because I've spent years starting books and then getting, something shiny comes along, another read along, and then I start books and I drop books and I forget to go back to them. And so anyway, so today I finished Hanks and Hitman. So on my new Kindle, I have a new Kindle. So that was my old Kindle. This is my new Kindle, and it's more just the standard, most recent one. So with the ads and all that. And on that device, the book on there that was the farthest along at like 32% or something. This is starting off BookTube with a big bang. The South Was Right. And that is by the Kennedy brothers. I can't remember their first name. James Ronald and Walter Donald. Okay, and I think they're twins, but anyway. I read this book back in the 90s when it first came out. The first version, I think, came out in 1994, and I read it. And then this new edition came out, revised, updated and revised or something. And the reason why I think it's good to read books like this is because I think you should always read both sides. If it's available, find historical books that are both sides of a conflict, because you get a truer picture that way. And in fact, in this book, it was recommended to me at the time back in 1994. I can't remember why it was recommended to me, but the best thing about this book is the documents. It's so well documented. Now, for example, most people, I would bet most people, certainly I did not know, that Jefferson Davis had a plan to free the slaves. We are taught the propaganda version of the so-called Civil War. And so a lot of this we don't know. I didn't know there were the slave narratives, and that former slaves were recorded talking about their lives. And these are quoted in this book. And there's a lot of pictures too. There's a lot of, like I just read today of the Mississippi State Legislature in 1890 when they were voting on a bill to build a memorial to the Confederate veterans. All black members, all the black, were they senators or representatives? I can't remember. But they voted for it. And one of them explains why. And his speech is in there. So there's a lot of speeches, letters, and just copious footnotes and things. And so it's a very good history book from the perspective of the Confederacy. And so I have really benefited from that because I've learned so much more about that time frame and things that happened. It's a really good supplement. I read, gosh, what was it? Doris Kearns Goodwin, her biography of Lincoln and some of his cabinet members. I can't remember the name of the book. A big, thick book. I read that last year, and that was very good too. So it's a good, they complement each other in that way, because you've got the northern perspective and then you have the southern perspective. And so, great book so far. I'm still in the 30% of the new updated version. But I really wanted to remind myself of all these historical details and documents, and we've had a lot of propaganda, and anyway, I'll leave that alone. And let's see. So that was So when so those are my 3 devices that I take outside, and I can read them all in the dark if I have to. Now, when I finish The South Was Right, the next one on my new Kindle is going to be The King of Elfland's Daughter. I'm at 27% on that book that I started last year and didn't finish. And if I ever finish the Encyclopedia of Lost and Rejected Scripture, I'll be going to The Story Girl by Lucy Maud Montgomery. I started that last year for to read along and did not finish it. So it needs to be finished, and I really enjoyed it when I was reading it. And Cupid's Poisoned Arrow, when I finish that one, I'm going to, I think I'll probably read 10x is easier than 2x. I don't know if I can easily get a picture of that. But it is by Benjamin Hardy, and he wrote another book that helped me get on my way to losing 286 pounds. So I'll talk about that on Saturday, July 8th on Connie's live stream. Just Another Stitch is her channel name. And so I think I caught up on all the books that I'm planning on reading. And then at night before I go to sleep, I turn off all screens. I try to turn off all screens 2 hours before I go to sleep. And great. Must be dinner time. And so I read physical books at that time of night, and I generally start with what I kind of call coffee table books, or books where I just read 2 pages just to turn the next page, they're not storybooks usually. And so I'm currently, a lot of times it's craft books, and that's what I'm currently reading. It's a beginner's guide to the doll's house hobby. I love doll houses. We call them I've always called them a doll house, but I guess British say doll's house. And mainly I got it for these pictures and to see if I wanted to get into this hobby. And it is filled with all kinds of pretty pictures of miniatures and houses, and extensive instructions on how to create these things and get kits and all that. And I'm pretty much at the halfway point. This little advertisement for Doll's House magazine was in there, so I got this at the library book sale, and so I've been using that as my bookmark. And but while I admire this greatly and I love looking at them, I've decided it's not a hobby for me. I have cats, and I would have to have I'd have to have a whole separate room to even store these things so that they wouldn't get destroyed. And it seems like it might be expensive, but I do plan on building a castle, however, out of plastic canvas. I should have brought that book over. I'll show that sometime. But that's Barbie size, so it's not this small. And I don't know how long that'll take me, but I'm pretty. One of my friends in knitting group, she's done it before, so I have a consultant if I need one. But I'm going to finish reading this because I love learning about things like this. So even though I don't think it'll be something I'll take up anytime soon, I love reading about it. So I'm going to continue that at bedtime. And then since I finished False Memory, that was my reading book to go to sleep by, which, you know, I don't know how much that influenced my dreams and stuff. But since I finished that, I have gone back to a book. Now, I want to talk about this for a minute. Does anybody remember these? It's called Bookmate, and it is a book cover that opens up like this, and it even has a built-in bookmark. I'm on chapter 12, and you snap it like this. Let me see. You snap it over here, and it holds your book open. It's solid and stiff, so you can lean it up against things, and you can read your book, and you can read through the clear strap here. And it was called Bookmate. I got Bookmate, and I got my first one in the early 80s through an ad with a Harlequin romance subscription. And then they came out, I think this size is for quality paperbacks size, and not mass, but I have a mass market one too. But I'm only down to this one and the single mass market one, because I don't know where you can get them anymore. So if anyone knows where you can still get these, let me know, because I would like to, keep a backup supply, because they do wear out eventually. So this is my bedtime read, is Saint by Adrienne Young, and I think it's a prequel. I got this is an advanced reader copy, and I got it as a Goodreads giveaway. Mainly I signed up for it because look at that cover. I just thought the cover was awesome. And anyway, and then I found out, it's a seafaring fantasy, and I love seafaring books, whether it's nonfiction, fiction, historical fiction, fantasy, sci-fi. Well, I don't know. I guess that would be spacefaring, not seafaring. But anyway, I love it. And so far, like I said, I'm at chapter 12. And I am really enjoying it. And if I'm correct in remembering this is a prequel, I will probably continue the series. But I think the other books were written first, and then she came back and wrote this one. So if this is a setup for the other books in the series, I will be going on with it. But yeah, love that cover. Just love it. And I think that's it for all my current reads. And I was going to say what I'm going to read in their place when I get that far, when I finish them. When I finish the Doll's House book, I am going to I may quickly check this one out. I got this at the library book sale too. And it is for kids, and so I'm going to go ahead and read through it. It should be a real quick read about needle crafts, and see which grandchild I think might like it. And I also got this at the library book sale. In for a penny, in for a pound. Pictorial History of the Confederacy. So, since I'm reading the South was Right, but it is filled with pictures, photographs, paintings, all kinds of things. So this is right up my alley. I also read Andersonville not too far back, and wow, great book, Andersonville, if you get a chance to read that. So this, I like learning about this time of history. So yeah. So that one, it looks like it, you know, to me this is like a coffee table read, because, you know, there's so many pictures, and so that might be next. And these two definitely are on the schedule. And I forgot to mention, after Saint, I have another Goodreads giveaway book that is Billy Miller Makes a Wish, and it's a children's book and about baseball. So and I guess Billy Makes a Wish, and I barely started right here. So I think I was doing this for middle grade March or something, hoping it was close enough to middle grade. It might be 6th grade or something, but and doing a video, and anyway, so I want to read it to see which grandchild might like it. So, plus I like children's books too. So that's it. One more thing I forgot. For Jane Austen July, I'm going to start off with the group read Northanger Abbey, and I'm going to listen to it, because I started this crochet along for this blanket, which is called the Lizzie blanket, and the designer designed it inspired by the Pride and Prejudice movie. So it has 5 sections named for the 5 Bennett daughters, and we recently had a crochet along for this, and as usual I lagged behind, and I'm not done. I have done the Jane section, the Elizabeth section, and the Mary section, and I've started on the Kitty section. So, and then I'll have to do the Lydia section, and then the border to finish the blanket. So I figured it would be a good thing to listen to Northanger Abbey while working on this blanket. So that's my plan for Jane Austen July. All right, well, somehow I managed to do this in less than an hour. That's surprising. I'll have to streamline it in the future. All right. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.